Thank you. With us, we have the leader of Unity Fiji, Mr. Savenaca Narube. Mr. Narube, the multi-stakeholder dialogue on electoral reform is currently underway, organized by Dialogue Fiji. You've been one of the panel where you've made a very strong statement about this whole issue about electoral reform. We know that there's consultations currently underway regarding the electoral reforms underway. The government undertaking that. But the question is, we are almost 1 year away from when elections can first be held around August, from August to February 2027. The real issue is whether we have already run out of time to test something new for the next elections.
I certainly believe that. I think we are running out of time. And I think if you want to reform and really seriously want to reform the electoral system, a big issue, you have to start as soon as you get into government. This government has waited 2 years, 2.5. As you said, 1 year to go, and they are introducing such major reforms. So I think we'll be struggling to make it for the 2026 election. So my point in my contribution today, what do we do? Knowing that that is perhaps a reality of what may happen. So I was talking about what do we say, because that the elephant in the room, which I mentioned, is the Constitution. And the Constitution is so detailed about the electoral system. Normally they would just have a general statement of what an electoral system should be and leave the details of this into the legislation. But not for this Constitution. It is detailed enough, so it really prevents us from doing too much, too fast. And that's exactly what we are doing.
You did talk about proportionality, about the current system, how unfair it can get.
Yeah.
You talked about yourself in terms of you being sixth place getter in terms of votes, but you are outside and the rest are in. If you can elaborate on that, please.
Yeah. The Constitution says that the allocation of seats after an election is proportional. That proportionality for them means proportionality for the party votes. Okay? So for me, it's that proportionality which is undermined by the 5% threshold that they have. Combine that, it penalizes the new entries, new parties. We have found that. And we come in, as I said, I received the 6th largest vote, and yet I'm not in parliament. So which means that 49 members of parliament sitting in parliament now has lower vote than I had. Where is that proportionality? Where is that democracy? So my point is that we have to have a better system. Let's be proportional. Let's have one man, one vote, or one woman, one vote. That's fine. That's inclusivity, fairness. But we need to have a much better distribution of seats, depending on your vote.
Now, the issue about the single electoral roll, Section 53 in the Constitution, the issue of ambiguity is being raised, whether it really means a single constituency, because it says single electoral roll. You have suggested the government should be also putting an additional question to the Supreme Court to make things easier for everybody. If you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. To me, the single electoral roll refers to a roll. A roll. But that roll can be kind of divided into constituencies. And I think the Supreme Court should be asked to interpret that. So my point is that we should go back to a more representative election system where we have consistency. It doesn't have to go back to the number of constituencies we had before. It could be divided into perhaps some major constituency in Fiji, but we go back there. And that particular clause in the Constitution needs to be interpreted by the Supreme Court. Once that is interpreted, then we go on to prepare for the election under that interpretation.
Mr. Narube, there's been a lot of confusion as well. You're saying, can we change the electoral system before the constitution is changed, or do we have to change the constitution and then we change the electoral system? Can these changes will take place? 70% of our population is below the age of 40. A lot of confusion on the ground when we talk to people, and some end up not caring about it. What do you have to say to the people, and what can be the solution to make sure that people take notice of this very important element of democracy?
Yeah, to me it's a no-brainer. If it's in the Constitution, you have to change the Constitution first, unless there is an interpretation that gives you a way out of that. And that's why I mentioned a few clauses on the one electoral roll, national roll. We could ask for that. But if it's in the Constitution, then it's in the Constitution. The 5% threshold is in the Constitution. So I was thinking that perhaps a kind of practical way forward, given that we only have 1 year, was that we assume that the Constitution will not be amended, at least before the election, and work on that with the interpretation of the Supreme Court. We have some flexibility around some of clauses, and we implement those, and then we prepare properly for the election. If there is insufficient preparation of the election, the whole system is really going to be undermined, and we need to prevent that.
So we didn't have People's Alliance and NFP in the panel, two parties holding most seats in Parliament. We don't have anyone from government in these discussions. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I understand from the organizers that they were all invited. They gave reasons why not. I think like the Labour Party, the Labour leader couldn't make it, so he sent someone. Why couldn't they have done that? Send a representative. What does it tell us if they are invited and they don't turn up? They don't consider this a priority. Is this something that they are not pretty concerned about? Some of them are out there in the somewhere on the Accountants Congress. Hey, to me this is much more important than this. They should have sent their people there, and I think we should make sure that they are accountable to whatever decisions that they are going to make on the electoral reforms.
Mr. Narube, we have the budget national budget coming up on the 27th of June. Definitely there's a lot of expectations. People would want a lot of issues addressed. One of them is cost of living. Government has to always play that balancing act between where it gets its revenue from and expenditure. The importance of growing the pie in terms of the GDP. From your perspective, what do you think needs to be done to ensure we have a positive result for people on the ground and also for government?
Yeah, you see, the budget is an annual implementation plan for your economic vision. It probably would take more than one budget to have that vision ingrained into the resource allocation. You see, we have to have the priorities right. And what is those priorities? I always say the priorities are people, not themselves. So to get more money to the people through health and education and roads and everything, you name it, they need to reprioritize our revenue and expenses to ensure that they at least are spending in the right priorities. At the moment, I don't see that. For the last 3 years and even before that, they haven't done that. So now, elections is around the corner. You watch this budget. And see where that priority is going to be allocated. I urge the Minister for Finance, please base that priorities on what the people need. You have talked about what? Cost of living? We have been debating this cost of living for ages. We have been asking government, please do this, do that, do that. What has government done? Very little. But watch this space. They're going to say something on this. Let's see that. And the economy, at the end of it, comes back to the economy, the jobs, incomes. The economy seems to be threatened by the, global development. What have they come to say, okay, based on that, this is our solutions to that. So to me, that's going to be substantive, should be substantive issues in the budget, not just tinkering at the margin, which they have done in the last 3 budgets.
We know there's external pressure that plays a part in terms of cost of living as well. Other countries too, our trading partners are feeling the pinch in terms of the consumers. What type of relief will be best suited during this time?
Yeah. See, we a two-pronged attack on cost of living. You come from the income side or you come from the expenses side. Yeah? The government has done a lot on the income side. They have reduced that. They have given things to the children, $200 per children or per child. So that's going on. But I think the more impact would be from the expenses side. And what do I mean by expenses side? Look at the tariffs that you impose on imported stuff. Look at that. And I'm just suggesting, I'm not suggesting you just reduce some, rebalance it. There will be potential for rebalance away from reducing the essential tariff on essential goods and raising them that are not essential stuff. Do that. They haven't done that. And I was also saying, extend the price control. Because that's a mechanism, you can control a bit of those prices that are essential.
The price control extended to what type of items?
Yeah, you can come with your list, I can come with my list, and the government can have a list of that and say what would be the most important items that are currently not in the price control list to be included in that. And yeah, we can come to a list. So through that price control mechanism, the processes, government can have a better handle. Why is that important? I think that's important because in that process, you have to look at the profit margins of company. And I'm asking, can we share this burden on the cost of living more broadly than just the consumers? Can we share it with perhaps the corporate sector as well? Some of them are struggling, of course, but we can work out a mechanism that actually also do that. And the third is the exchange rate. Everything comes through the exchange rate. So why don't we stabilize the exchange rate and don't allow it to depreciate more? So that will help us hold the prices of our imported inflation.
Mr. Narube, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.